stop worrying so much about what induction you use. I think that is a way, way overhyped thing. It doesn't matter. I shouldn't say that. What induction you use doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does in terms of getting a successful outcome with your client or your people on stage. And particularly with people on stage, a lot of newer stage hypnotists worry about what's the best induction. And what they'll often ask me is they'll say, what's the best induction for me to get them deep? And that's a major flaw in thinking. Inductions aren't about getting people deep. Inductions are about getting people into hypnosis. You get them deep through fractionation. And so that's what I tell people. And it's shocking to me how many stage hypnotists I've said that to, who then their face goes blank and they're like, what do you mean? And they were never taught by their trainers about fractionation. If you haven't been taught this, it's a major hole in your training and you need to account for it. Really, you got to fix it. Fractionation was discovered by LeBeau and Bernheim, who ran the Nancy School in the 1800s. And what they figured out was that they would have their clients come each week and come in for like clinical work, right? And finally, after doing this and doing this and doing this, the light bulb kind of went off for them of, oh, I noticed that every week when my client comes back, they do a little better with being hypnotized than the week before. It's like they're getting used to it or they're getting trained for it. And so finally, I don't remember which one of them, but one of them thought to himself, well, why am I waiting a week between? Why don't I just in one session hypnotize them, take them out, hypnotize them again, take them out, hypnotize them again, take them out, and do like a month's worth of hypnotizing in one session? So he started doing that and immediately got better results, got greater depth, greater absorption, greater focus, all that stuff. Fractionation. That's the term that they ended up giving to it, right? So the act of getting people in state and then getting people out, which can be as simple, what they figured out over time is that that could be as simple as just having the person do eye closure and then reopen their eyes. There's something about that process where when we close our eyes, we go inward and the dissociative process begins. And then when we open our eyes, we sort of come back at least a little bit. And so there are like the Dr. Flowers induction is basically built around that, right? In the Dr. Flowers induction, you have the person just open their eyes and close their eyes, and you're patterning to them the whole time while they're doing it. So in client work, you can do that. You can build a process where you're just bringing them up and putting them back down, bringing them up and putting them back down. And you're working the whole time. You're making it useful, but you're getting that fractionation during one session. And in the stage show, you can build it so that you're doing it right away early on. And there's other videos that I've done where you can see that, where I break down how my actual workflow goes in my show. I'll try to provide a link to that on here somewhere. And that's what I do with my show is from the moment I walk out and we get started, it's okay, let's get them to fractionate over and over and over again so that they're just getting deeper and deeper through what they don't even understand are hypnotic processes. They just think I'm doing stuff that's part of the show. But you're getting that fractionation effect over and over again. And if you're doing it with intention and you're thinking about how you speak to them and what exercises you're putting them through and stuff, then you're getting them to get into that process. That's where your depth comes from. That's how you're going to get them to a better place. That's what's going to lead to, once you do your formal induction, a whole bunch of them are going to transition into state, right? Some of them, the high hypnotizables, they'll already be in state before the official induction if you're doing some fractionation exercises, right? Because anytime you're giving suggestion, you're giving suggestion. This is another thing that a lot of hypnotists don't seem to have had explained to them by their trainers is our labels that we use for these things are labels. Like if you start giving people suggestions, you're doing hypnotism. The hypnotism is the process of giving suggestions to people that gets them into this state that we call hypnosis, which people debate about where it starts and where it stops and all that. And that's a whole other series of talks or videos. But So if you're doing like what most people would call is a suggestibility test, you're doing hypnotism. You're not just doing a suggestive, it's not just a suggestibility test. The very nature of it is you're giving suggestions, and in your head you're like, but I'm doing it to assess. Yeah, you are doing it to assess, but the very nature of doing it is you're giving suggestions. You're hypnotizing. So like you've got to start working out of the compartments and labels that maybe you created early on that have limited your thinking about your own process. And when you start doing that, then you can adapt your process to make it more effective for you and for your audience and or for your clients in an office, and get you results faster, get you better results. When I started thinking about this stuff and really applying it, that's when I really started getting, I got better retention rates on stage. I got better, I got better volunteer rates in the first place because I started doing things differently on the front end that made people feel more comfortable, and that we're starting to get them into light state and make them more amenable to volunteering. Of course, they still have to want to choose it, but they feel better about it as they start experiencing some of these things. And they go, yeah, I'll give it a go. You take away the fear, you take away any nervousness they have, and you get better rates. So don't worry so much about inductions. All right. Your induction from a stage perspective now is primarily what a lot of stuff on this channel is about. You're thinking about not so much how do I pick an induction that's going to get them deep. Again, that's not, stop thinking that way and think more about how do I pick an induction that's efficient, that minimizes time usage, because again, you're there to entertain. So the longer your induction is, the more likely you are to start losing the audience because you're not entertaining, unless you put a lot of work and thought into developing an induction that's really beautiful, that's really like entertaining, that is engrossing and engaging, so that even the people who are sitting in the audience not doing it are like, wow, this is interesting. And if it really captivates them, then it can be longer. But most of the time, for most performing hypnotists, you're going to want something that's more efficient, that gets you where you want to be faster, and lets you get on to the fun stuff sooner. So, inductions, I don't know. Leave your thoughts, share your comments, leave your comments, share your thoughts. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you later.